Hi, and welcome to the Pod Cafe, the debut episode of the Pod Cafe. I'm Nick Potts.
I'm Emily Potts.
And we drink coffee and talk about the podcast we're listening to.
Yeah. But before we get to the podcast, what kind of coffee are you drinking?
I made my own pot of coffee, and I've never had it before. It's from Cameron's Specialty Coffee is what it's called. And it is chocolate caramel brownie flavored. And
wow.
It's a light roast. And if I'm being honest, I don't taste the chocolate or the caramel or the brownie. Just the coffee.
It's interesting that it's chocolate. What'd you say? Chocolate caramel brownie?
Chocolate caramel brownie.
Like, aren't brownies always chocolate?
Are brownies chocolate, or is brownie a different flavor than chocolate?
Unclear. I have no idea.
I don't know either.
I thought if a brownie wasn't chocolate, it was a blondie.
What's a blondie?
I think it's like a chocolate chip cookie / brownie, but they look like a chocolate chip cookie.
Well, that's a whole new set of questions, because what flavor is cookie?
I don't know. We can't get into that. We don't have time for that.
This is not a podcast. This is the Pod Cafe, a podcast about cookies.
Yeah. No. I love cookies.
Anyway.
Okay, let me tell you about my coffee. I'm drinking an Americano, and it's from Spy House Coffee, which is this coffee shop in Minneapolis. There is 3 of them. Yeah, it's good. It's real good. I love Americanos.
Americanos are actually my favorite thing to drink, as far as coffee goes.
Mm-hmm. It's a shot of espresso and hot water.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
And some people try and ask me to put cream and sugar in it.
Yeah, they asked me that too.
The people making it.
Yeah, they asked me that. And I was like, no. I would just like the shot and the water. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why you would. Do you like them hot or iced?
I think both, but yeah, both. We've had about 6 months of winter here, so I've been strictly drinking hot coffee for the last probably 6 months. 15 degrees today.
You probably don't need any more ice.
No.
I do prefer an iced Americano, though.
Maybe. I feel like doesn't that melt the ice really quickly, or no?
I don't know. I'm not very good about savoring my drink, so I drink my coffee pretty quick.
Oh, okay, that's fair, I guess. I've had this Americano since 8:30 this morning, so.
Oh, that's way too long. All right, well,
should I tell you about the podcast?
Yeah, get us into the podcast we're listening to today.
Okay, so.
Or listened to.
Yeah, so I chose the podcast this week, and I chose a podcast from Wine and Crime, episode 49 to be specific. It's called Cold Cases. So I know this is an older one, but I kind of thought it was interesting because I feel like a lot of podcasts start because of cold cases. You know, like people get interested in unsolved murders or crime stories, and then they do research, and a podcast happens. So I kind of thought that would be like a good thing to kick off our podcast, was talking about cold cases.
So do you listen to them on the reg, or is this the first episode you've heard from them?
Well, I listen to a lot of podcasts, so it's rare. Well, there's only a few that I'm like diligently keeping up with, but I've listened to a lot of their episodes. I like them. They're pretty cool. So they are 3 friends in Minnesota, and they drink wine and talk about true crime stories. So
and their accents are ridiculous.
Well, yeah, that's how people sound here. It's awesome. Yeah, I really like their episodes. So this is one that I listened to a while ago, but I really liked it. So that's why I wanted you to listen to it. So then we can talk about it. So what'd you think? Any first impressions?
So I'm kind of glad that we started with a crime one, because for whatever reason, I'm just not attracted to crime podcasts, and I don't know why. And then I was thinking about it while I was listening to this one, and I think it's because that's what I went to undergrad for. And so I think it just got slammed into me for 4 years. and I don't know, but yeah, so I don't know why I'm not like super drawn to crime podcasts, but this one was interesting because they had an interesting mix of both. Like the first part was educational, I think.
Yeah.
It was interesting, definitely educational, and then the second part was a little goofier, which I liked. I mean, they get goofier as they get more drunk.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Which
I a little bit felt bad for Mr. Potter. But no, it was fun. It was cool. I felt a little lost did you watch the show they were talking about?
No.
The Killing Fields on the Discovery Channel? Me
No,
neither.
I've never seen
so
it.
So I felt a little out of the loop there, but not so much as I couldn't enjoy the conversation. Because mostly it was just about Tom Potter, like, giving the details about investigations and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was cool. I mean, I think that the statistics that they talked about were kind of nuts about just how many unsolved cases there are in general each year. But, you know, I did some of my own personal research on that just out of curiosity, and I found some stats from the Bureau of Justice Statistics, which it sounds like legit, you know, like the Bureau of Justice, and it just sounds credible. But it seems like a lot of, even more than like unsolved crimes, there's like unreported crimes that they were able to get statistics on. So their key headline was like, fewer than half of crimes are reported and fewer than half go unsolved. Isn't that nuts?
Well, that's one of the big pieces in like the sexual assault and rape debate. Like how many of those instances go unreported? Like how many women, and I guess men too, don't report being raped or being sexually assaulted, and how that skews all the statistics. So it's really hard to have like a solid debate on those topics because the stats are so skewed.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's just, it was kind of crazy. I was reading all about it, and so then I was thinking, like, you know, the Potter guy was talking about how he had that one case that he was like, I will solve this before I retire. And that I felt was bold. I want him to solve it, but I was nervous for him. You know?
That was very cool of him. He did seem like personally invested in at least that case, but also the other one. What was it? Carrie is the one on the TV show I think they're doing.
Yeah.
Which is a cool side of the investigators that I think people don't get to see, and I think they talked about that on the podcast a little bit. So I guess seeing the personal and emotional side of investigations, it was kind of neat, kind of a nice new perspective.
Yeah, I think it was cool, but then combining that with like how many actually go unsolved, I was kind of sad. I was like, I mean, this guy's so invested. I'm sure so many other investigators and just detectives and police bureaus and everything get invested in some of these cases, and then most of them just end up being unsolved, which is sad. You would think technology would help that, right?
It's sad, but it's got to be better now than it used to be, right? Like before we had stuff like DNA and, you know, whatever else is helping us. I went to school for this. I should know.
You should know.
But
you should be the expert in this.
I should be. I mean, people got away, I would imagine, got away with much more stuff. So it's got to be better now. But also, I don't have any evidence of this, but I bet the number of unreported cases is higher than it used to be. I just feel like people are less likely to report stuff, more likely to be embarrassed maybe by things.
Yeah.
Or with the current like culture of cops and citizens, people might be afraid of getting themselves in trouble somehow. Question mark.
Yeah, I honestly don't really know, but maybe. I mean, that sounds reasonable. But I mean, I think these cold cases are interesting because I mean, you don't personally have an interest in crime cases, but so many other people do. And that's what started so many of these other podcasts like Serial and Up and Vanished and the newer-ish one about the Atlanta Monster. Like, it just uncovers so many details about crimes. And I actually was thinking about this, though. I don't know if those are, like, can you consider some of those cold cases because someone was arrested for them, even though it didn't seem very conclusive? You know what I'm saying? Like with Serial and...
Yeah, they were talking about it on this podcast, the definition of cold case, and they said that just arresting someone means it's not a cold case anymore.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like, in my opinion, you have to, even if it's wrong, even if you get the wrong person, you have to pin the crime on somebody to consider it to be rectified or not a cold case anymore. Because if you arrest someone, but then they get let go because it was proven they didn't do it or whatever, to me that's still a cold case, because then who did what? We still don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the crime thing in podcasts is so popular right now. Like, it's got to be the number one topic in podcasts right now. And I don't know why, because it's not the crime thing that, like, I don't have a super big interest in, because I will get sucked into some Criminal Minds on TV or something like that. And I actually think if I tried to, I don't know much about Serial. I don't know how that works, but something like, I think Atlanta Monster works this way, and what's that other one? Up and Vanish. Like, if I think I could really get into the real-time podcasts where they're like in real time trying to get more information on these cases that are still unsolved and stuff. And I think actively trying to get answers is really interesting to me. Like, talking about cold cases but just leaving them at that then kind of sucks, because it's like a never-ending cliffhanger. Yeah.
Well, the other thing about all of my fancy statistics that I was looking up from one website and then not checking at any other websites, is that they were saying that there is a margin of error in their statistics, because some cases are considered a cold case in like 1 year of the statistics being pulled, but then maybe more evidence comes and they're solved in later years, but that doesn't take them out of the original statistic, you know? Which is crazy, because then some of these like cases that all these podcasts are about, or, you know, that get uncovered more, they might have been, you know, they could have never been considered a cold case, but they just rest for a little bit and then all this new evidence pops up. It's just nuts. You know, it's nuts.
So that's an issue with statistics specifically, I think, right? That's just, people have to, and I don't know who I mean by people, but they have to be on point about keeping stats up to date. So, like, if you're going to look up those statistics, you should only look at 2017 statistics. So then if there's a case that was solved, it's not on there at all. But for whatever reason, when you're doing research on any topic, sometimes the most recent stats or articles you can find are like 4 years old or something like that.
That was so millennial of you to say on point. Good use of on point.
Is on point millennial?
I think so. I mean, it's like a thing. It's like a trendy word.
Also,
you know?
am I millennial?
Yes, you are a millennial.
What's a specific generation for millennial? When does Generation Z start?
I don't know the exact dates, but I have the millennial argument at least once a week with my coworkers. But you are considered a millennial. I know some people have identity crisis because they don't want to be millennials, but I think being a millennial is great. And I think somewhere around like 1982 to 86, I think, is the like official start year of millennials. So yes, you are a millennial.
That's way earlier than I thought it was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I don't mind being a millennial. I think millennials get a bad rap for no reason. I think, I don't know, things are just different. We're not then from the baby boomer generation and stuff. Like we have a different society now.
And at least we're not what, Gen Xers eating Tide Pods, right?
Is that the one after us? The generation after us?
Yeah. We might have to do a little more research into this. We've kind of gone away from our original topic here.
It's
but
a lot of bro science. That's okay, though. We can talk about whatever we want.
That's true. We can. Talk about how cold my coffee is, but I'm still really enjoying it. I don't think I mind cold coffee.
I hate hot coffee that has gone cold. Essentially, it should be the same as just iced coffee, right? Or cold coffee, but it's not. It doesn't taste the same.
Maybe. I think I just like the taste of coffee, so I don't really mind it in most forms. You know, like coffee, hot coffee, iced coffee, coffee-flavored ice cream. That's awesome. You know, like the taste of coffee in general, I'm really into it. So I guess its temperature doesn't bother me.
I can't decide how much I like the taste of coffee. Sometimes it depends on the coffee. I think recently, I was thinking about this. I have become more in tune with the taste of. You know how some people like can taste the differences in beers and like good beers versus bad beers. I'm for sure not like that with beer, but I think I'm getting like that with coffee because I can taste the difference between crappy coffee and good coffee now.
Yeah. No, I just feel like you can kind of tell when well, maybe not. I was going to say you can tell when a cup of coffee is not good, but maybe if you don't drink it enough, you don't know. But, I mean, this morning, I had a really bad cup of coffee before my Americano. It was, like, burnt. And I feel like you can, whether or not you drink a lot of coffee, you can tell if it's burnt, right?
Yeah, you can. At work, they have a coffee maker in the back, and it's the only coffee I've ever made that I literally could not finish. Like, I couldn't choke it down. It was so bad, and I don't know why. I don't know if it was burnt or not, but it was just bad coffee. Does coffee get stale? Does coffee expire?
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah,
that was it.
Definitely. That kind of surprises me, actually, because I feel like when I think of you drinking coffee, I think of it as like a utility factor for you, where you're like, I just got to get this down to wake me up. So I'm kind of surprised that you couldn't finish a cup of coffee.
That's pretty much what I use coffee for. But sometimes I will, like, 'cause I don't drink a lot else. I drink a lot of water, and I mean, that's about it. I'll drink some orange juice every now and then, but sometimes I just get tired of drinking water, so I'll just make coffee just to have a different taste in my mouth.
That's so weird. You know, when I get tired of drinking water, I just drink wine. So there's that option.
I get drunk way too fast. So I need to block out a day or two if I'm going to drink any alcohol.
Maybe you should drink less water. I don't know. That actually wouldn't help. No, forget that.
Anyway, so
Okay, so back to the cold cases. So I was reading through articles this morning because I just think they're kind of fascinating. And I was thinking, like, what do you have, like, a favorite unsolved murder? Because I think mine, and maybe this is just a, like, I don't know, media addiction reason, but I think I am a little bit into the JonBenet Ramsey cold case.
That was probably what I was going to say, but only because it's been a thing that we were really into since we were kids. Like, we grew up on JonBenet's mystery. But,
you know, that's not because we were really into it. It's because Mom was really into it. So we were
that's
also.
True. That's true. And it's more interesting now, maybe, than it was back then.
Yeah. I feel like that one, like, okay, so there's so many stories about how the police, like, didn't properly assess the scene, or I don't know what the terminology is, but this isn't a crime podcast. We don't have crime terminology here, but there's always research about, like, what went wrong on that case, but I just feel like now it could be solved, you know?
I thought they did. Didn't they prove it was the brother, or no?
I don't know if it's proved, but that's, like, the heavy belief.
I mean, after watching all this stuff, that's my belief, but what do I know? I'm actually trying to figure out what other cold cases I even know about, because I can't think of one right now.
Well, I was thinking, I feel like there's a lot of like mass murders. Like the Atlanta one is a pretty good one. Like that's a pretty good cold case. And that one is actually a cold case. Have you listened to Atlanta Monster? Maybe we should do an episode about that later.
I have not.
But that one's actually a cold case because the person that they have in jail who's like thought to be the Atlanta like child murderer, he isn't actually in jail for those child murders. He's in jail for 2 other murders that weren't children or, you know, part of that series of murders. So that one I think is still considered a cold case because no one was ever arrested for the Atlanta child murders. It's pretty interesting.
That's pretty interesting. Yeah, I haven't listened to any of that podcast. I just had an epiphany. I don't know if this counts, but my favorite cold case has always been the Roanoke colony. Do you remember learning about the Roanoke colony in history classes?
Flashbacks to middle school history. No, I don't remember. I mean, yes, I know the word. I've heard it, but no.
So so this is always the most interesting thing in history class.
Says you. I don't know about that.
Yes. No, it is. I'm gonna have to look up details because I don't remember. But so Sir Walter Raleigh, I believe he started a colony. Yeah, he started a colony in North Carolina. And
this is so nerdy of you. I just need to interrupt.
Yeah.
This is so nerdy of you.
Yeah, no, but it's really interesting.
Okay,
because
keep going.
it's a huge missing persons case. So he started a colony in North Carolina, the Roanoke colony, and I forget why, but he had to go back to England for some reason. So he went back to England, and then at some later point in time, I can't remember how long, but probably a couple of years, he came back to his colony in North Carolina, and everybody was just gone. There was no sign of anyone, and they all had just disappeared, and the only thing left over was the word Croatoan carved into a tree. And to this day, they have no idea what happened to any of the settlers in the Roanoke colony. They just disappeared.
Well, it wasn't him because he left, right?
Well, obviously, yeah.
and like, it's not a short... Well, maybe.
That one guy took out a village?
I mean, what's the timeline on this? Did he just kill them all and then leave? And you never know. Maybe he was like brainwashing them. There are so many weird things that happen.
So you think it was a cult?
Maybe. Have you ever read about the cult murders that exist? Okay.
There are a lot of cult murders.
Okay, so, well, it's also not like, okay, maybe he didn't do it. It's not like a short flight to, you know, back to England in this time. He was on like a boat for months, right?
Well, yeah, it takes a long time. He left in... Nope, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of dead air because I can't find it really quick. But yeah, it's...
Okay, so he left. He comes back years later. All his people are dead. And he's just like, oh, shoot. Like, there's no one that they thought could have done that. Like, I feel like if you're killing off a whole colony, there's like... Maybe someone you think.
So this is what the only clue was the word Croatoan carved into the post of a fence around the village, and the letter CRO carved into a nearby tree. All the houses and fortifications had been dismantled, which meant that their departure had not been hurried. So they didn't just leave overnight. Before Sir Walter Raleigh left, he instructed the colonists that if anything happened to them, they should carve a Maltese cross on a tree nearby, indicating that their absence had been forced, and there was no cross. So,
did you say a Maltese cross?
Yeah.
Like the dog Maltese?
No, it's imagine.
Oh God.
Imagine an arrowhead, like on a compass rose. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the tips, there's 4 of them, and all the tips meet in the middle. I could probably just show you a picture of it, but
I see.
So that's what they were supposed to carve in, but nobody did, and I lost my place.
They didn't have a chance. They were all being killed.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, that's actually not a very good contingency plan, right? If you're
being killed,
trouble,
please stop and carve.
Yeah, stop what
tree.
you're doing.
this
carve across the
intricate
tree.
arrow thing. Interesting. Well,
yeah,
I bet
so nobody
the
knows.
statistics of unsolved murders or unsolved crimes in general were way higher during that time than this.
In 1587, yeah. People went missing all the time. And also, they didn't do a very good job looking for them, because I just read that there was a Croatoan island known as Hatteras Island, because I think the Croatoan were a tribe of Native Americans or something. But he was unable to conduct a search of that island because a massive storm was forming, and his men refused to go any further, and then they just left.
So those people did it.
What, the tribe?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe.
They left their mark. They did it.
Well, do you think they would carve their own name into the fence?
I mean, you don't know. People aren't smart.
I guess I don't know.
Maybe that was like a thing. They were like, we'll wipe out this tribe and show people who's boss, and carve it into a tree.
Card?
Yeah, that. Again, not a crime podcast. Don't know crime words.
Their MO was to destroy villages and then carve their name into the fences.
Yeah, it's like their dogs. They're like peeing on trees, marking their territory, you know?
I don't know if we're going to get in trouble for calling Native Americans dogs.
Well, I didn't call them dogs. I said they were being like dogs, peeing on trees, marking territory. Which, again, then my question is, why didn't they take over that land? Like, they just... Okay, so maybe they didn't do it. I'm thinking out loud. I just feel like if you're wiping out a tribe, and then you'd probably just take over that land. That's what I would probably do.
Maybe it was aliens.
That's another option, definitely. Yeah, and that would be really hard to solve. So I could see that being an unsolved crime.
But also, they just didn't go to the Croatoan Islands, so maybe they were just there hanging out, and they just didn't go find out.
Yeah. Oh, that's kind of weird.
But then they never. If they were alive on the Croatoan Island, why would they never send somebody from there to tell someone, "Hey, we're here"?
Because island life was so great, and they didn't want anyone else to come and ruin that. Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking.
I don't have any idea. I don't have any idea.
That's
either.
a really
That's
a really weird favorite cold case to think of.
I mean, it's interesting. A whole settlement disappeared, and nobody knows what happened.
Yeah, I feel like
I can understand one person.
Yeah, don't you feel like that kind of happened a lot? In I
don't know. Did it?
I don't know. Back in the Stone Ages, people go missing all the time. No, I don't know. I don't know why I'm saying that. I can't make that guess.
Anyway, so Wine and Crime is a good podcast.
Yeah, they're great. They do this way better than us. They know crime words.
We didn't talk about the second part of their podcast. We didn't really talk about the first part of their podcast.
That's true.
But
well, kind of. We talked about the Potter guy and how he talked about his crimes.
Yeah, we did talk about him a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually the funniest part was when they were like, if any of our listeners have any information on these crimes
they're just
that he's
helping
trying
him
to solve. Yeah.
Support.
It's good. But the second part was pretty funny. And pretty interesting. This might play hugely into why this case was cold. But I'm talking about the first girl who brought her cold case to the table. The kid's name was Rick, I think. It was Rick something.
Yeah.
And his body was found in a cornfield. Also, not very well in the cornfield. Apparently, they were saying if you just drive by, they saw his body. So nobody just tried to move his body farther back in the cornfield for whatever reason.
I mean, cornfield seems scary. I probably wouldn't want to walk deep into it either.
Yeah, so interesting case to start off with because he was decomposing a lot, even though he was only missing for 72 hours.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I think I was mixing up my cases. Was the gas station thing the second case or still the first case?
I think I don't remember. The one that really stuck out to me was the third one with the Italian grocery store owners. I think that one was just so weird that I remember that one more than the other ones.
That was the axe guy, right?
Yeah, he like snuck into people's houses but it was like all Italian butchers or Italian grocery store owners. Like
Italian grocers.
Yeah, like what is his vendetta against Italian grocers that this guy like just went on a kind of a murder rampage to get them all?
And he seemed really inefficient. I don't know how he killed so many people because they say he would like chisel holes into the door or something.
Yeah, he would like chisel a square or something in the back door just to get in. Like, I don't even know how. Like, all in one night?
Yeah, what do you mean chisel? That sounds loud to me.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, loud, or maybe he does it like over time and they don't notice it, and then he's like, goes in for his kill. I don't know. There's something going on in that guy's head that was just a little
maybe,
off.
But they also said sometimes he would chisel the hole and then reach and like unlock the door with the handle, but sometimes he wouldn't. And then they said that he would squeeze through the hole that he chiseled. So it must have been a pretty big hole.
Yeah, because they said he was like a big dude too, not like or what they knew about him. He was like a bigger guy.
Yeah, I guess I need
Which
to know
at that
what they mean by
point,
chisel.
Yeah, I don't know either. At that point, wouldn't you just break down the door? I mean...
Yeah, you might as well.
And,
I don't know.
Yeah, and if he's opening the door, are we not getting fingerprints or anything on that? Or maybe he's just not in the system? Or maybe there's no system? I don't remember the timeline of when this happened.
Yeah, I don't remember when this happened either. No, that was the first story. When they took fingerprints off the, like, skin that fell off the guy who was decomposing. Oh,
yeah, that was disgusting.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, I hated that. Yeah, maybe next time I should have written down some more notes so I could keep these straight, but I really thought the Italian grocer was hilarious.
The Italian grocer thing is funny.
Probably not funny for those families, though.
Yeah, probably not. But also, they were making fun of the dead Rick kid pretty hard, so I don't feel so bad for that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't.
the weed courier.
Yeah. That's true. That was funny.
I guess I don't remember the second case very well then, because the axe one was the third one. The weed courier was the first one. The gas station thing must have been the second one, where all these brothers were shooting each other, like, one after another.
Oh, yeah. That must have been the second one. I don't really remember that one that well, to be honest. But in general, I think these crime stories are very interesting because it seems like at least when the Wine and Crime girls were talking about it, there seems to be a lot of, like, evidence or details around these cases, and then they still go unsolved. Or, like, after so many Italian grocers are being murdered, we still don't know who it is. Like, what happened?
Especially if he's taking time to chisel a hole in your door.
Yeah, I just feel like we should be able to get him.
Yeah, a lot of people saw him, so I don't understand. So, how did they do it? They have just individual episodes on different topics, or do they ever, like, follow a case or anything?
No, they just have individual episodes on different crime topics. And then there's always a wine pairing, which I just absolutely love because I'm such a wine drinker.
A wine pairing with the topics?
Yeah, they have a wine pairing. Like,
yeah, she said, with the topic being cold cases, I think your wine is best served cold, right? Or something like that.
Yeah,
so
she said
drinking a white wine.
Yeah, they were drinking a Sauv Blanc, and they said cold cases are best served cold. That was funny.
Yeah, that's funny. No, it was a good podcast. It was interesting. I like that they broke it up. Do they always do that? Do they always interview someone and then talk about their own thing?
Usually, yeah. Yeah, they usually, like... Or they don't always have an interview, but they always have different cases that they talk about, and each one of them always brings one. So they kind of each get to pick one out, which is cool.
Yeah.
They're funny to listen to. I feel like wine helps too. I mean, when does wine not help, you know?
Wine definitely helps, I think. Because it got progressively more interesting the more drunk they got.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was a good choice. It was a good first pick, I think.
Yeah, I like it. And then, I mean, it got me started just doing more, Googling about cold cases, and that was kind of fun. I really enjoyed that, actually. And then I was like, maybe I should follow some of these, figure out what happened. No, I won't. That's a lot of work. But there's a lot of these out there, like cold cases that were just never solved.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. The unknown is pretty interesting.
Yeah. I finally finished my coffee, so it only took me about 4 hours.
That's
How's
ridiculous.
Yours? I know. How's yours? Still warm?
Well, I just poured a new cup, so it is now.
So next week, you're going to pick the podcast. And
yeah, I'm going to pick one. I don't know what I'm going to pick yet.
Another great chat.
Yeah, I haven't decided what it's going to be yet. But
okay.
We'll figure it out.
I'm excited either way. I mean, I love podcasts. And for anyone who's listening, if you want to contact us, you want us to listen to your podcast and talk about it, you can email us at podcafe.contact@gmail.com, or you can tweet at us at _podcafe. Don't type out underscore, just hit the underscore key. And you can listen to this podcast on the Podcafe. Wow. Too many words that sound the same. The podcafe.libsyn.com. But we'll tweet it out and everything too.
Libsyn.
Anything else?
Libsyn.
Oh yeah, that.
No, that's it. I think pretty decent debut episode as far as debuts go.
I mean, it was fun, and we'll see where this goes. Maybe next time we'll have a better connection.
It is fun. I think it's going to get better the more we do it. Also, once we get sponsors, we can buy better computers.
That's true. Then I wouldn't have to put my microphone on top of a box from an air mattress. Although this is a really sturdy box.
Yeah, it looks like it's... Are you sitting on the floor?
Yeah, I'm sitting on the floor.
Okay.
On a pillow.
Well, yeah, maybe a studio setup.
My one-bedroom apartment doesn't come with a studio, so...
Not until you have sponsors.
That's true. Hopefully coffee sponsors, so that I can drink it warm and not keep it all morning.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everyone.
Hope you have a nice Sunday. Enjoy the weather, if it's warm.
I feel like we need like a tagline, like a like a signing off tagline.
See you next week.
Like, stay caffeinated.
Maybe we can work on that.
We'll work on that.